Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm welcome here today with Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames. We put together a partnership. I believe we met just before your season started this year.
That's right.
In fall of 2022, and we're excited to welcome Naz here to sit down today and do a little bit of interview.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Hopefully
Excited.
something off the cusp.
Yeah, excited to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited too. And I think it's probably nice for the viewers to recognize that we're going to hopefully dive into some questions that'll bring some of your personality out, and
Absolutely.
not so much the standard stuff where you're getting changed after the game.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. It's a nice change of pace. So
Good.
go ahead.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll dive into some questions here, and feel free to ask anything back you'd like as well at the same time. So I've kind of set this up into different categories, Naz. So lifestyle questions. I'm still going to ask stuff about hockey, obviously, hopefully just not the same old stuff that you're used to talking about.
Yep.
And then we'll even touch on the Porsche and automotive world as well, of course, being that we're located at Porsche Center, Calgary right now.
Sounds good, man. Let's do it.
All right. So communication has proved to be a vital component of a successful business in my own career. What have you learned about communication and how it's really significant in your world?
Well, I think that's, probably in terms of building a team, one of the most important things you can have. I know in my line of work, communication is very important because it's, you want everybody to be on the same page, and the only way to do that is to talk and to communicate. And, especially when you're working with a team and you have coworkers or teammates, I think, it's important to chat, and, especially, for the industry I'm in, when you're on the ice, things happen quick. So, the more talk, the better. And
as far as your team goes, and I'm sure this is probably similar in lots of teams, you guys have a group text that you communicate within, and if you need to, if a common message has to come across for you guys to talk about something, are there other channels that might not be so conventional that I might not be familiar with, or the general public, I guess?
I mean, it's pretty generalized, but we do have a team group chat, which, for the most part, I don't think it's, overly professional. I think it's more casual and loose, and everybody's kind of giving each other a hard time. It's quite entertaining, actually. But any sort of big information, like, if there's a team dinner or team party or anything like that, obviously it goes through the group chat. But I think it's just a way that, everyone can kind of come together and just, be super casual and funny.
Okay. And I guess on a similar topic as far as communication goes, I know you're a veteran in your career, but for example, right now you're playing on a line with Huberdeau and also with the new young stud, or perhaps the up-and-comer Peltier.
Yep.
How do you feel as far as communication when you're speaking with him, and hopefully what I would say we see as someone watching the game of hockey, it almost looks like there's some form of mentoring going on between you guys on that line. Is there lots of communication that happens on the bench, on the ice? Is he asking you for advice and so on and so forth? Is there lots that happens in that regard?
I think it's kind of both ways. I mean, currently, I'm playing with the French connection, so
that's right.
With Hubie and Peltz, they're always
speaking in English.
They're always like en français on the bench, talking in French, and I'm always like, "Hey guys, can we talk English so I can understand what's going on?"
Yeah, that's right.
So no, but they're great guys, and obviously Peltz and, myself and Hubie, I think, have kind of tried to mentor him as much as possible and just try to feed him information. And, it's a big step going from, the minor leagues to the majors. And certainly there's an adjustment period. And, I look at it when I was coming up, I mean, it just comes full circle. I had guys take me under their wings and kind of teach me the ropes and tell me, what to do, what not to do. And, that just goes under the communication umbrella. You just always got to be talking with each other. And, and doing that, I think you get the best out of each other.
Okay. Something that I was interested to ask you, and I think this has changed a lot from, this era of hockey perhaps to where you're at currently, but what has been your financial strategy as a pro athlete from the beginning of your career up until this point in your life? Do you have a team, a wealth management team that you deal with? Are there certain things that you like to invest in? How would you phrase that?
Definitely investing has been a big part of my career, and just trying to save up and make great decisions. And luckily I've My dad's a great business mind and a great mentor of mine, and he's kind of led the way for me. And I've every single year I just learn a little more. But we also do have a wealth management team, and that manages the money and makes sure everything's proper. But for me, I mean, I've always been into real estate, and started off kind of in the residential neighborhoods, and as I grew and found out more about it, I think it kind of transitioned into commercial and agricultural real estate, which is something I find to be passionate about now.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Perhaps someone you reach out to, which is in part my next question here, but do you have any role models that you've looked up to as a young man, or still do, or people that you go to for advice?
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think, my old man's been a big mentor of mine, and he's kind of led the charge for me and really educated me on a lot of things that, I didn't know about. Obviously he's old and wise, and,
Don't say old too many times.
And, but he, as he would like to say, but, he's got the background, and he's been there and done that. So, I take his word for it.
Okay. And is he someone that is, like, let's say you're having a tough time for whether it's hockey related or something else, is he someone that you're going to reach out to a little bit?
Yeah, anytime I got questions, and he's usually my go-to guy. So he's probably one of my biggest critics as well. So he's
okay.
He's gonna be maybe sometimes a little too constructive, all that criticism, but at the same time he's backing me every day of the week, and he's been in my corner since day one. But he'll tell me the truth, which is what I need to hear.
Yeah, the truth can be important sometimes, that's for sure. Apart from work and family, what do you like to do for fun? So let's say it's off season, your wife's out of town with your daughter, and you have the house to yourself. What would you get up to? Or the weekend to yourself, let's say.
I mean, where do I start? I don't know. I mean, if everyone's out of town, that sounds great. But probably see you on the first tee.
Yeah.
I'll maybe get 36 in. I'm a big golf fan, especially when I got no one bugging me, and I can just I'm a very competitive guy, so I like to have some matches out there with friends of mine, and go for a nice dinner at a nice restaurant, and to me that's a perfect day.
That sounds all right.
Mm-hmm.
Good. How have you been settling into Calgary? On paper, Calgary and Colorado are pretty similar, but now that you've been here for a little while, what do you like most about Calgary? What did you like about Colorado? What do you miss about Colorado?
Yeah. Well, that's definitely made the transition a lot easier. Okay. They do call them sister cities, and I didn't realize how similar they were until I got here, and never heard that phrase until I got here either. So, you get the mountain weather. It's a little bit, a little more chilly up here, but I'm not afraid of the cold, so that's fine with me. And I think that Denver, it's very suburbia, very relaxed and mellow. Okay. And what I love about Calgary is probably the food. I think there's some great restaurants, and
good.
I've had the opportunity to meet some great chefs, and they've recommended me to a lot of great places, and
nice.
That's a night out for me, just going to a nice restaurant, and I've been enjoying that.
Good. When it comes to a new city or a new team, is there a specific teammate or individual from the organization that helps you get settled? How does that process normally work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, usually you try to, in hockey, the hockey community is very, it's a close-knit group, and you have a lot of friends that, you've crossed paths with at some point in time throughout your career. So, I think you just, if you're going to a new team, hopefully you know one or two guys that can kind of, break the ice for you in terms of moving and transitioning into a new dressing room, and, to hook you up with some of the nice places in town and make some great referrals, and just kind of point you in the right direction. So, luckily for me, I've had a couple guys that I've played with in the past, and, it makes things a lot easier.
Now, for example, last year, obviously you played with Colorado. Was Cale Makar instrumental in helping you get settled here at all? Or not so much?
He actually was. He actually was, yeah. Okay. He obviously he's a Calgary boy, and he's a good friend of mine. So, he always, his line's always open whenever I need him. So, he gave me some recommendations and some nice areas to look around for. And, the way he speaks about this place, it's up here. So I had to take his word for it, and so far I'm loving it.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. And still touching on Calgary, and we won't go too much further about the city, but have you developed a favorite pastime? You obviously talked about restaurants you like, a certain restaurant you like to go to, parks or places you go visit in the city, or even maybe just outside, like if your family's been to Banff or Lake Louise or places like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I went up to Banff actually for Christmas.
Oh, great.
And, stayed up there for a couple nights. It was fantastic. Some of the most picturesque scenery I've ever seen. So, it was very exciting for me and my family just to be able to experience that. And, in terms of the city, there's a few restaurants that, are kind of my go-tos and that me and my wife enjoy going to. And, there's some...
they know your orders off by heart or what?
Yeah, they definitely do. I'm a regular now. They know me for sure. But, I definitely have a few designated spots that, I like to have a good time at.
Okay. And do you have any wedding or marriage advice for guys getting married in the fall?
Don't do it.
Oh, come on.
I'm just kidding, pal. It's actually, it's amazing, really. It's amazing. The wedding day, my advice would be, sometimes you get so caught up in planning the wedding and you get so stressed out about it and you can't just really sit back and enjoy the actual wedding day and the party that happens because you're just so worried about everybody else having a good time. So, my advice would just be, just during the wedding day, just, relax, take it easy, enjoy the night, because the next day you're going to wish you could, go back and have that party over again.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. I like that.
Anytime.
What kind of music do you like to listen to, pardon me? Are there any favorite genres, artists, or as the Spit and Chicklets boys put it, any sneaky bangers?
Some sneaky bangers, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're sneaky, but I'm a big hip-hop fan.
Okay.
Drake, the kind of that's usually, my go-tos. But, my dad's a big classic rock guy, so he always told me if it was his car, it was his music. So he kind of forced me to grow up listening to, like Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Bruce Springsteen, guys like that. So I've really enjoyed, their music and kind of gotten accustomed to it over the years. So I'm a fan of both.
Okay. Have you had a chance to meet up with Drake?
I have, I've met him several times and his crew several times. So, obviously being in Toronto, we kind of see him out every once in a while. So, and that's part of the reason why I'm such a big fan, because they're great people and, I enjoy being around them.
All right. I'm going to move on to the world of hockey here, of course, your daily world that surrounds you all the time, but hopefully we can touch on some things that are a little more interesting. What can you tell us about what you have done to grow your game and take your focus to the next level? Are there certain routines you've employed or additions to your lifestyle to really make sure you're at your best?
I mean, I'd say probably in the summertime is where you try to maximize all that as much as possible in the gym, and after practices too, you just try to work on a few things that you always feel like you can improve. And it's whether it's nutrition based or in the gym, working on your flexibility or your mobility. There's a lot of work that's involved, but you just try to kind of piece it together.
And if you weren't playing professional hockey for a living, what do you think you'd be doing in life?
Ooh.
No, it's
selling cars.
It's a deep one. Okay, good answer.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. My dad's been in the automotive industry for 30 years.
Okay.
For 30 years. So I know my way around a car, that's for sure. But I feel like for me, I'd always want to be. I'm a big sports fan, big sports lover. So maybe like a player agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I'd be good at. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly enough, I have a fellow that used to work here who's going through school right now. And there's actually, I don't know if you knew this, but the Flames' old hockey operations manager, I'm going to forget his name, fellow that doesn't like to wear a tie properly. Brian Burke, pardon me.
Berkey, yeah.
He actually started a school out of the Athabasca University with a hockey management focus master's program.
Oh, yeah?
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, Berkey's always been sophisticated like that. I mean, I had dinner with him at the All-Star game, and
okay, nice.
He's drafted me, so we go way back. Right. We got some history, and he's always been a big fan of mine, and I've always been a big fan of his. So he's a great mentor. Also, he's a very smart guy.
Good. And sort of touching on what I just mentioned, as far as this individual I was speaking to at Porsche Center Calgary, we've actually always we've hired several young hockey players, guys that have played in the WHL and other worlds of hockey, but we've always enjoyed these hires. They tend to bring a certain structure and maturity to our workplace. What can you say about the sport of hockey, what it's given you off the ice, and how it's improved your character?
Absolutely. I think, it's taught me a lot about life in general. I think just a lot of values and principles, and like work ethic and determination, commitment, things like that. You always try to continue to push yourself, even though as a hockey player, you just there's so much competition, right? You got to try to. It's almost like the survival of the fittest. So you got to be ultra competitive, and first and foremost, you gotta work hard too. So as a hockey player, I think it's forced me to go through a lot of adversity, because not every single day is the same. There's always a day might not go the way you want it to go, or and you just gotta be able to bear down and turn the page and have that kind of short-term memory and just move on and continue to try to just keep moving upwards.
Are there any specific aha moments that you've had in your career and that stand out as being impactful for learning and growing as you?
Yeah, I don't know about epiphanies, but I mean, there's certainly guys that I've kind of learned from and have been mentors of mine, where I'm kind of just like, oh, that's how I have to act, or that's how I have to, that's the work I got to put in to be able to perform at this level. And that was more so when I was a little bit younger. Now I kind of, as a veteran, I kind of, and am able to figure it out and kind of pass my knowledge on. But certainly when I was younger, I had quite a few of those, yeah. Guys
come up to you and go, yeah, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, sometimes it would rub people the wrong way, but yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you just, you come into the league as a young kid and you you're not sure how things work.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, and as long as you don't make the same mistake twice. So that's how I always try to approach it.
What advice do you have for young hockey players who want to make it to the professional level or the big league?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's certainly tough for sure, and I'd say work on your skating first and foremost. That's probably the number one skill that's most used these days. There's a high pace out there, and if you're not a great skater, you probably don't got much of a chance. So you got to have that commitment and that work ethic to be able to outwork the guy sitting beside you, because there's other guys that want it and that want your position, and you got to be competitive.
Interesting that you mentioned working on the skating, because correct me if I'm wrong, the Flames have a skating coach who was and I understand that she works with you guys to certain techniques or edge work and stuff like that. And is that becoming more popular in the game? And
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, even growing up, like it was, and when I was younger, it was, it wasn't the main focus, but it was still obviously a big deal. And I did power skating lessons for hours and hours, and that's the result of me being a pretty good skater. So always had to work on it, and it wasn't my most favorite thing to do in the world. I like to play with the puck. I like to feel the puck, and I was always about making moves and dangling when I was younger. All the fun stuff,
the showy stuff,
all the flashy stuff.
And actually, sorry, what I was thinking of was figure skating.
Yeah, figure skating. Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a coach before on a previous team that did the same thing. She was an Olympian in figure skating, and they're just, such effortless skaters. They got the stride completely mastered, and it's nice to kind of take a page out of their book.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite city to play hockey in, and why?
My favorite road city. There's a few of them for sure that we have some fun in, but for me, I'd have to say New York. I'd have to say playing against the Rangers at MSG. Right. That's probably iconic venue. It's historic in there. You just look up and you see all the history and all the banners hanging of different musicians and Hall of Famers, and so that and I'm a big city guy, so I'm a city boy. So I enjoy the fast-paced lifestyle and the shopping down there, and I enjoy New York a lot.
It's interesting, actually, almost 3 years ago to the date, I was going to do a little trip with some of my family down to New York to watch the Flames play the Rangers. And as we landed, it was just before we left, the world was shaky in terms of COVID. And then as we landed,
it was before that. Yeah.
NHL shut down.
Come on.
Broadway shut down.
No way.
So we arrived and the city transformed to something completely different. So bars and restaurants shut down at 10 p.m. It was a bizarre experience. That's certainly
unfortunate. That's horrific, actually.
Yeah.
But it's nice because, there's a lot of teams in that metro area. So, like you can make a trip out of it and bounce around and go to Long Island, watch an Islanders game. They got a beautiful new facility.
That's a good
point.
Go
watch a Devils game. So everything's relatively close.
Yeah. No, I got to repeit that trip with in a real world.
Yeah, you do.
How do you cope with mental pressure from being in the limelight?
Just a lot of support, from people you love and people that have kind of supported you along the way. So I think, just venting a little bit, and sometimes it can be tough to be under scrutiny and microscope constantly, but that's just kind of comes with the territory, and some guys handle it better than others, and I've never really had an issue with that.
Do you, for example, have a rule to yourself where you would say, not on any social media on my phone, like that stays off for 12 hours or 24 hours, or are there certain things that you consider important in that regard?
I don't get overly specific because, I got just, from where I've played and my experiences, I think, I have some mental toughness to some degree, and I'm able to kind of, things people say don't really, bother me that much if they're negative and if they don't come from people I care about. So, social media is definitely a bit of an issue though when you're not playing so well. So you should probably stay off of that when you're not scoring.
And would you say, for example, some of the young guys on your team, in terms of mentoring those guys or having those discussions, would you say to them like, hey, listen, you know what, keep yourself away from some of those things. Try not to let that build and maybe take you down the wrong path. Did they get that? Is that something that they?
I think they do eventually. I mean, it can be a pretty dangerous place. The social media world. I think it's can be good and bad. So it can be a promotional thing, but very a lot of critics on there that kind of think they know it all. So.
Lots of coaches.
Exactly. Lots of people that could just manage a whole hockey team, no problem.
That's right.
So that's what they think at least. But as a young kid, I think you got to promote yourself to a certain extent and kind of build your brand, and because you only have a small window to do it. But you got to be smart with it.
All right. How has becoming a father changed the way you play and compete? And we just talked off camera a little bit about some of the guys on the team just recently becoming fathers. I mean, that's perhaps something you're seeing unfold underneath you, right? These guys have just become dads, and
absolutely. I mean, that's really cool to see. New people, new men come into fatherhood and just embrace having a family and being a dad. So. For me, from an on-ice standpoint, it really hasn't changed my competitive nature at all. Just because I've always been the same person when I step out on the ice, and always been the guy that wants to win way more than he cares about losing. So for me as a competitor, I don't think it's fatherhood's really changed the way I compete out there, but it's certainly brought out a softer side of me off the ice for sure.
And how does it work? Again, touching on those two guys that have just had children, is every team a little bit different? Are you given, is it like, okay, you get the one day the baby is born no matter what? Do you get a week, like if someone wanted a couple extra days off, is it pretty flexible that way, or is it fairly cut and dry and most guys just know?
Yeah, I mean, it all really depends.
That must be tough.
Yeah, it is tough, especially the time of year, right? Like if you're on the road and you got to fly back, and it can be a bit of a nightmare situation, but that's why it's always nicer to have kids as a hockey player in the summer.
Yes,
because
100%.
You don't have as many plans. So I think in season, there's not much of a break. Like those guys, those new dads are back at work the next day and probably fresh off an hour and a half of sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
You just gotta come to the rink and be prepared to play, and that's our job. It's kind of unfortunate that you don't get to take a few days to just kind of celebrate with your family, but. It's just one of those things where you got to get back to work.
And I'm sure the moms know. I mean, they appreciate what you're doing for your
and that's who I feel worst for. It's obviously
hard for them. Yeah,
after just giving birth, it's a bit of especially as a first-time mother, it can be a stressful situation and a stressful time. And but without the women in our lives, I think we wouldn't have made it as far. And they're kind of the rocks behind everything.
100%. Mm-hmm. What surprised you most about being a professional hockey player? Perhaps a moment where you thought to yourself, well, I didn't expect that to be like this, or that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, coming to the league, early on in my career, it was just like, everyone was, in the gym a couple times and bouncing back from treatment tables and massage tables back into the gym, into the hot tub, cold tub. Like, it's just a kind of revolving door of recovery and just kind of doing everything you possibly can to get ready for the next game. And, as a young player, you start to kind of see that and learn that and kind of implement that into your everyday routine. But, when I first got to the NHL, I was like, oh, this is serious. So, you got to step your game up.
And I guess to what you said, are you also meaning just the number of support staff that there are involved with all these little different areas?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like you said, that you've got the masseuse, you've got the trainers.
For sure. You always have a few medical guys, a few equipment guys, a couple massage therapists, and a sports psychologist. They give you all the tools to be as good as you want to be. It's just you got to kind of use it and get what you need. And as you evolve as a player and as a person, you kind of start to understand what's going to make you successful and what you need, and then it becomes a little bit easier to manage.
Something I actually wanted to touch on earlier with the financial side of things. How does it work as far as you guys go on the road? Do you pay for that hotel? Does some of your salary from that you pay towards the NHLPA or some of these other organizations, does that support some of those costs? Does it come right from the team? Like, how does some of that work?
Like during the season?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the team covers it all.
Okay.
Team covers it all. So I think that's on the owners, and they kind of they look after us.
Travel too, like flying,
travel, and I think certain meals might come out of your pay stub, but other than that, everything's. You're there to work for the team. You're there to represent the organization. So, obviously they have that obligation to look after you and make sure you get what you need. And in return, you go out there and you play as hard as you can for them.
And then I would imagine the dinners you guys go to, whether I'm sure there's little cliques and groups that split off and do their own thing, but that's up to you to pay for, or do you guys play some credit card roulette?
That's always fun. That's always fun. So that's a part of the NHL that I've really, tried to embrace and enjoy as much as possible, because when you retire, you don't have those situations anymore when you're traveling to certain cities and you're going out with your friends to nice dinners, even though you don't have much time in certain cities to do that. But we always go to great restaurants, and we play some sort of game for the tab. Yeah. And the tabs usually, it ain't cheap.
No,
so
I can imagine.
So usually it's some sort of credit card roulette, or birds in the bush, or there's a few different games that you can try to get away with, and hopefully you don't lose.
Hopefully the rookie's not paying.
Yeah, we don't allow that. So
pull their card out.
That's kind of an unwritten rule.
Is that right?
We'll just make them sweat it or something, or we'll just make them think their card's in the hat, and we'll secretly pull it out. So
that's good.
Yeah. If you're a rookie, you're not paying.
When you were growing up, what was your favorite NHL team? What was your least? Who did you not like? Did you cheer against?
It was a bit ironic, because that was the Maple Leafs for sure. Because I was a big Habs fan growing up in London, Ontario. My dad was just a big Habs fan, and he kind of passed it on to me. I grew up cheering for them, and so obviously I didn't like the Buds that much. And then next thing you know, I'm getting drafted in the first round, going to Toronto and playing 10 years there. So
there's some strong irony there. Obviously,
so it's very ironic. And now it's a team that I've obviously grown to love, and city I've grown to love, and now I cheer for them. So, but I was a big Habs fan and hated the Leafs.
So that would be so if it was a Flames Leafs Stanley Cup final, that would be pretty interesting to say the least.
I definitely wouldn't be cheering for the Leafs.
Yeah, that's right. Do you have any certain rituals, pregame, postgame? What about superstitions?
Yeah, I'm not a very superstitious guy.
It's a little stitious?
No stish, no stish for me. Luckily, because I think I'm pretty strong up here, so I don't need that. But a lot of hockey players that I play with are very superstitious, and it's just so demanding. It's too taxing to keep up with, having to do everything the exact same way. And
no doubt.
So for me, I don't even bother with it. I don't really care for it. But routine is different. Routine is different. Like as a routine, there's a big
preparation,
difference.
Right?
Yeah, there's a big difference between having a routine and being superstitious. So for me, I always show up to the rink at the same time and have my coffee at the same time and get dressed at the same time. So that's just more routine based.
For example, with that routine, like while you're playing at home, do you plan a nap at a certain time? Do you plan like a certain type of smoothie right after that nap? How would that change at home or on the road?
Yeah, it changes a little bit, not too much. I mean, the pregame skates are different on the road as at home. So at home, you just, you wake up, you go for a skate, take care of your body in the morning. Usually go out to lunch around noon, 12:30, eat some lunch, nap around 2:30 for a couple hours, try to get some rest. And
so we're interrupting your nap time is what you're saying.
No, today's not a game day, so we lucked out. We lucked out. So usually for a 7 o'clock game, that's kind of how it is. You head to the rink around 4:30. I get there for 5 and, just get ready to play.
All right. Who are some of your best NHL friends? Guys you still talk to a lot or guys that you still think about a lot?
Most are former teammates from teams I've played on in the past, and guys in Toronto like Mitchie Marner and Matthews. I mean, Morgan Riley's I'm a big fan of. Cale McCarr, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Gabe Landeskog, Phil Kessel I played with back in the day. So.
And you guys chirping each other lots? Like, is that
of course.
The friendly banter that goes down?
All the time.
Okay.
So that, we're competitors too. When we match up against each other, there's,
everything's put aside.
Yeah, everything's put aside, and you're just my worst enemy. But after the game, we can chat. So, that's a great thing about hockey. You just, and especially about winning. You have that bond with teammates that lasts forever, and you're friends for life.
Okay. What about your favorite all-time Flame?
Favorite all-time Flame, huh?
Who would be up there on your list?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to go with the legend, Iggy. I love the way Iggy played, and I was never, because I was always, when I was younger, I always used to watch the East Coast teams. I didn't, pay too much attention to the West Coast, even though I knew about the whole league. But he was always a guy that I loved to watch, just because he was a skilled guy that could score 50, but he was hard as nails. He was super tough, and he'd smack you around if he had to. So
that guy's been in some fights. He's a strong leader.
Yeah, and he's tough. So I always appreciated the guys that the gritty skill. The guys that had elite skill, but could back it up if you if you were running after him on the ice. So I was a big fan of Iggy.
So do you think, based on that answer, if you could think of a guy who was most deserving of a cup that never won one, would he be high on that list too?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. He'd probably be top 2 or 3. Absolutely. So, and that whole discrepancy with how it went down with that replay. What was that in? What year was that when they lost in the finals?
Yeah.
Was that in 2004? Remember when the goal?
Tampa?
Oh, it was in. He made the save, but it wasn't. And then they implemented instant replay after that.
Right.
So that was and Iggy was on that team, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's right.
It's unfortunate. I wish he got one, and he certainly deserved one.
Do you talk to him? Have you talked to him at all?
I've never met him.
No,
I've never met him. I'd like to. I mean, if he's around, I'll certainly introduce myself and say hello. But I've never met him. No.
Yeah, rumor has it, I think he's coaching his son's league in BC actually.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, I heard he was doing some sort of coaching.
Back in Canada, though.
I mean, that's a great part about being retired, right? You get to grow up with your kids and and be there for them. So I'm sure he's doing a great job.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to jump into some Porsche talk now.
Nice.
A little bit of some automotive related talk. And had I known your father has worked in the industry for 30 years, I might have added some tougher questions here.
Yeah, it's all good.
Anyways, with that, we'll dive into some of these. So I understand you're quite a fan of Porsche and that you actually have a 911 GT3 back at home in Ontario. What is about this brand that really excites you?
Well, I mean, I just, love the quality, first and foremost. I think the build quality and, the engineering. I think with that model specifically, with the GT, I mean, I don't think, the body styles really changed that much over the years, so it has that kind of timeless feel. And, it's something I love. And with the GT3, I think it's, you get the best, value for money supercar out on the market. It's 100%. It's close, right? So it's, that's probably my favorite part is the value that goes into it, and it's never really gonna depreciate. And it's fun to drive. Very, it doesn't lag on power. It's very responsive. And I like the speed. So I really enjoy it.
Have you been out to the track at all with it?
I haven't. I haven't. But I
would that interest you doing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. I love, and I mean that's one of the things I also love about Porsche is the racing heritage and kind of the tradition it's had. So I'd be very interested in that. Hook me up, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, they built a track outside of Calgary now officially.
Oh yeah, did they really?
Yeah, so it's called Rocky Mountain Motorsports Park.
Yeah, maybe when it gets a little nicer, it's a little warmer, we'll go for a cruise.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of a different question, because this is the future of the industry, and I think whether people like it or not, this is the way we're going. But is sustainability important to you? How do you envision the future of the automotive industry, and specifically with Porsche?
I mean, I feel like sustainability should be important to everybody. I mean, that's, you build up a certain pedigree that Porsche's done, and you want to kind of maintain that level. So you want it to be sustainable, and, the products Porsche's put out and, past years, I think you gotta kind of maintain that. Once you put out something great, you got to continue to be great, and Porsche's done that, and, that's part of the reason why, I'm a fan.
Have you driven an electric car?
An electric Porsche? No.
Not an electric Porsche? Okay.
No, I might have to get on that. I mean, I think that's, kind of the evolution of cars is kind of going that electric style. But I don't know if I love that yet. Maybe if I drive one, it'll change my mind.
Well, I think we'll do something in the off season before you come back to Calgary, and we'll do some road tests in a Taycan and see if we can get the hair in your head to stand up a little bit.
I would love that. I would love that. So it's got some power then. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Let's go. Sign me up.
It grips and it goes. Do you have a favorite Porsche model or any special edition models? Are you a manual or PDK automatic guy?
Yeah. I mean, besides the GT3, I mean, that's probably my favorite. I mean, the 911s I love. I mean, that's I'm a big fan of those just because I like the speed. And I mean, if you want something a little more spacious, I think the Cayenne Coupe Turbo I'm a big fan of. With that new body style I love. So I mean, depends what you're looking for. For me, 911.
Okay. And in your opinion, what sets Porsche apart from other automotive brands? What really stages them, and what gets you going?
Well, I think that pedigree and that luxurious brand that I've kind of always enjoyed, and interior exterior they're both beautiful, and as I mentioned before, I think it's just the build quality, how they build these and assemble these cars, and the engineering is in my opinion superior. So I love it.
Now you've obviously grown up playing hockey with some guys that I'm sure are car guys and have some nice pieces in their collection. Are there certain teammates that you can think of that, like, what are some of the most interesting cars you've seen some of your teammates own, or had the chance to see, and so on and so forth? Yeah,
I mean, I've definitely seen a few. I mean, a couple Lambos, and I actually like the Lambo Urus. One of my teammates was driving last year, and some Bentley Coupes, and which I'm also a big fan of. But I've Rolls truck. There's definitely some nice ones out there, but I think Porsche competes with them all, and
they sure do.
I'm certainly looking to expand, so we'll see.
All right. Sounds good. Well, that concludes our discussion today. I really appreciate your time.
Anytime.
It's been great to get to know you a little bit better. And
likewise.
We wish you all the best the rest of this season.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.